Hello, everybody. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about why I decided to quit social media. So, social media for me, I remember when I was in high school is when it first came out, Facebook, and we started doing a lot with Facebook. Posting on it a lot. And I remember we'd have parties, and you'd go to a party and you'd bring, one of those digital cameras with you. I'd bring a digital camera and I'd just take all these photos, and then the next day upload all these photos of the party, and everybody would look at them and comment on them. And so I did spend quite a while on Facebook. And pretty early on in my life, well, in terms of social media, I attached onto Reddit. I used to go on forums like back in the 2000s. I went on this forum called Zelda Fan Game Central, which was all about like people making their own versions of The Legend of Zelda and stuff. But I then moved on to Something Awful and then Reddit. I think around 2010, I went on Reddit, so I was about 18, and I really latched onto it, and I thought it was a really, awesome place. And so I used Reddit for most of my life. Um, Kind of here and there, I posted on Instagram, but not too much. LinkedIn a little bit, but it was mostly Reddit. Reddit was a big thing for me, and I've used Reddit a lot. I've got tens of thousands of karma points. I've made probably thousands of posts, thousands and thousands of comments, a lot. And I think my use of Reddit changed with my life. So, when I was interested, I remember as like in my early 20s really being interested in like psychedelics like mushrooms and LSD and stuff like this. And so I used to post on Psychonaut subreddits and the different psychedelic subreddits, and I was really into philosophy and meditation and things like this. So my use of Reddit reflected those. But I also had very dark times in my life where I started to get into kind of alt right stuff and fascist stuff, and things like incels, and I was just, yeah, at a very very dark point in my life where this is the kind of thing that appealed to me, the dark part of the world. I remember there was a subreddit called iBleck. There's like iBleach, and that's like when you need to see something like a cute puppy to like, you know, bleach your mind so that feel good after seeing something bad. Well, iBlack, it was like the opposite. It was like, decapitations and people being electrocuted and stuff like that. I think for a long time I felt like I had to surround myself with a wide variety of opinions in order to better understand the world. Like, um, over the last like couple years, I really got into a couple subreddits. One was Regretful Parents, and Regretful Parents is about people who regret being a parent, so they talk all about how much, they hate their lives and hate taking care of their kids and stuff. And then there was another subreddit called Dead Bedrooms, where it's people in relationships who have stopped having sex, and so they're very like about that and like, filled with rage at their situation. And I kind of felt like I had to surround myself with these kind of things because I needed to get like an opinion of the world. I needed to understand like what's actually going on, not just what I want to happen in the world, not just what I believe the world should be like, but what the world actually is. And the world is actually filled with a lot of very unhappy people. Um, so other subreddits I was on depression, I was on suicide watch. And the thing is, I found with social media, first of all, I have a friend who he cut out social media about a year ago, and he was talking a lot about how he felt, so much more at peace and things like this. But I did a little bit of research on social media and found out that it it is, yeah, causation of depression and anxiety is social media. There's something about social media that for a lot of people makes them unhappy. And it's not a correlation thing. It's not like unhappy people use social media, which could be the case, but it's also that social media makes you unhappy. So if you're a happy person or a person, who's a bit average in terms of how happy you are, you use social media, you become less happy. So why is it that it does that? Um, I think one of the things about the internet is that it is anonymous for the most part. Um, but even the non-anonymous ones like Facebook, people act differently online than they do in real life, by and large. By and large, the people that I talk to in day-to-day life are relatively polite, you know, don't do anything crazy, usually say pretty mundane and non-controversial things. But the people online are completely different. The people online are confrontational, make sexual jokes, always bring up politics, and always say, the most inappropriate thing to say at a specific time. It's like the people online are like the most dramatic, you know, abrasive person that you know. When you go into a comment section, I find that it's overwhelmingly negative. Like, negativity is really the thing in most comment sections. Most comment sections are not positive and they don't make you feel good. You go on them, and even if you felt like things were, life is okay, you go on a comment section and then you read all of this, like, you know, negative trash. And it's not like people are, bringing their best selves to a comment section, bringing something like enlightening or awe-inspiring or beautiful or rational even. They're bringing something, hateful and mocking, overly sexual, and the closest thing I could say to, seeing positivity in a comment section is like jokes, like pop culture references or something like that. But for the most part, it's really quite, you know, sad, angry, disturbing on the negative spectrum of human emotions. You know, it seems to be stuck in negativity and anger and things like this. You get it on YouTube in the comment section. And so for me, like, I was on, in terms of social media, and maybe you might not define Reddit as social media, but I do. I think anything with a comment section is social media. YouTube is social media to an extent because of the comment section. And so I just got to the point where I realized I never want to see a comment section again in my life. I don't ever want to read an unsolicited comment from someone online. Never again. I never want, like, even on a news website or something, I never want to read a random comment. I want to, read an article, think about it myself. I want to watch a video, reflect on it. I, you know, want to play games without a live chat going on. I don't want a barrage of random social information. Um, I'm a bit of an introverted guy. I'm not a complete introvert because I like my friends and my family, and I spend a lot of time with my friends, and I'm constantly chatting with my friends. But I realize that there's such a difference between a personal connection and the kind of diffuse, um, diverse sort of comments that you get in a comment section. A comment section is really not that much like human face-to-face interaction. And um, so I guess I should say, like, I've been off of Reddit for a month now, a little bit more than a month, maybe a month and a week. And it's like there's this entire world of negativity that just evaporated. It's just gone. Like, where did it go? Like, it was just constant for so much of my life that I knew that when I went on Reddit, and maybe it was how I used it. Like I said, I went on all those, suicide watch and depression and nihilism and all of these super negative things. So it's like every time I open it up, oh, here's another post of somebody who hates their life. Oh, here's another post of somebody who's depressed and not doing anything to fix it. Here's another person who's pessimistic and thinks the world is ending, we're all going to die, which we are all going to die, but, you know, have a little lightness about it. Have a little, you know, joy about it. Like, you know, it's not great that we're going to die, but it's not like, you know, it's going to happen. It's part of life. But there's a difference between, like, you know, I'm going to die one day of old age after a long lived life, and, you know, it's going to be a nuclear warfare or climate change is going to totally destroy all of us and our children. So, but for me, like, and see, this is the thing of like, does social media, is it kind of like, you know, needle pricking your bubble, you know, making you be aware of the world at large? And I think it really only shows you one slice of the world. It shows you a very negative, dramatic, angry, sad, hateful version of the world. It doesn't show you how things are going on. And I think it gives people a false sense of seeing things in the world. Now, I'm not one to cut myself off from everything. Like, I read the news in the morning. I try and read from a couple diverse sources. Um, I try and have like sort of a balance, you know, left wing, right wing, you know, kind of get opinions from a variety of places and kind of come to my own, you know, understanding of things. I'm not one to say don't read the news anymore. And, you know, my friends show me stuff from TikTok, and my brother shows me things from Twitter. And, you know, so people, um, you know, I don't think you should completely isolate yourself and become a hermit. But the things on social media, like, think of how many hours, like, for me, of like cat videos, or like, you know, cats are cute, sure. But like dog videos, but like, it's like you see them and you've just, it's like you've warped through time. You've just lost that time. Like, I've spent hours and hours, like, I've probably spent days of looking at memes, like days, like not even like, you know, a little bit of time. I've logged so many hours of looking at memes, like, and it's time I'm never going to get back. Like, I could have read a book. I could have even watched a video of something enlightening or interesting, or learned about something, you know. And the thing is, like I was kind of trying to say before, is it's this whole section of the world that is negative and awful and horrible, and everything's going to shit and it's all terrible. It just evaporated like a bubble. And it made me think of like our perception of reality, of like the reality you see is what you surround yourself with. Um, and there are truths to the world. There are war. You know, there's Israel, Palestine, Ukraine. There's truth to the world. And so, like I said, you shouldn't, you know, completely cut yourself off from news and stuff. And I know news can be something that really drags people down, but still, like, you should be a citizen of the world who's aware of what's going on around you, and you're not so stuck in your little bubble. But at the same time, like, it's funny how people can just be, you know, completely twisted into like unhappiness and hating the world. But like at the same moment, like, I sit outside and I see the trees and I see the sky and the clouds and I see birds flying around and I see beauty. And it's like the beauty existed at the same time as their anger and hatred and everything else. Like, and it really depended. Like, I could have been outside on my phone, on Reddit again, like, just like, oh wow, that sucks, your life sucks, oh my god, wow, everything's awful. I could have been in that sort of hypnosis, or instead, I could have sat and watched the trees and watched the birds and just, you know, let the stress go and just take a deep breath and just sit there and just like, wow, I'm alive. Like, wow, that's really cool. Like, it's really cool that I'm alive in the first place. So I've been off social media for about a month and a week now, and I'm never going back. I even on YouTube, I disabled comments. I don't want to. If anybody comments on this video, I'm not going to read it. Like I'll watch maybe a video if you upload a video because I've done that recently. I've been watching videos of people just talking about their life and stuff. And this is all I want is for somebody to maybe watch this and maybe it gets through to you to like I don't need to spend time on Instagram or Twitter or Reddit or Quora or whatever. Like I don't need to surround myself with all of these like opinions, especially when they're so negative and hateful and hurtful and irrational. I don't need to surround myself with that. And it's funny, like, like it's almost like hell is a choice in some ways. Hell and heaven, I guess, are kind of choices. I know that there are people who are going through very terrible things, but your perspective changes so much of the world you see and the world you inhabit. Um, I remember another thing on Reddit was this like cringe TikToks or whatever, and every day, people be posting like people who sing like shit and like they're terrible songwriters and just awful stuff. And it's like, I realized like why I was there was because I wanted to be there. I was choosing to be there. I was like, as much as I thought, like, oh, why am I seeing this? Like, oh, these are so stupid, blah, blah, blah. I was choosing to be there. I was giving up my time willingly because I wanted it. And I think the same with like addictions is like with smoking or alcohol or hard drugs or whatever. I think, the reason they're successful, the reason people get addicted to crack is because crack feels good. And so when it feels good, you want it. Like people want to smoke crack and that's why they're doing it. Um, it's kind of a difference between like where do your wants come from? Where does your desires come from? And I think you can sort of start to choose a little bit more healthy desires. Like at some point with Reddit, I just desired to not be on there anymore. Like my want to not be on there overtook my want to see it all. And so do I think that I'm, you know, separated from what's really going on in the world? Well, the truth is like what's really going on is up to perspective. And if you focus on and surround yourself with all this hatred and negativity and unhappiness, that's going to be the world to you. If you surround yourself with beauty and positivity and enlightening things and awe inspiring and self improvement and good friends and family and good, real human to human conversation, that's what you're going to see in the world. And you're going to be more optimistic. You know, it's funny, like if you surround yourself with facts can facts are just facts. They're positive. You can infer positive things from facts and you can infer negative things from facts, but the facts themselves are just facts. And it's funny when you take a selection of like positive facts that can make you more optimistic. If like I subscribe to these websites of positive news, one called Warp News, another just a positive news aggregator, and they're talking about how you know Bill Gates built a nuclear power facility in I think it's Wisconsin or something like that, um, uh, or just people giving to charity or people investing more in electric vehicles and environmental friendliness so that like with climate change, yeah, we're in a shitty position, but like we are making progress in many ways. And so I think to be a doomer, to be thinking that the world is going to end and it's all awful and everything is maybe a little bit attractive to people because when you have a pessimistic view, it's almost like, you can look at everybody who's positive and say, "Ah, you sheep, you sheeple, you're just believing, whatever you want to believe." And the thing is like I try and maintain a rational, grounded view of things in life. Like spiritually and religiously, I've been I've had a hard time accepting religious precepts. Like, I don't want to step on anybody's faith, but like Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, they all have a lot of beliefs that I don't think have a lot of evidence to them. So they're hard for me to, you know, really see the value in, I guess, although they are valuable to other people. It's difficult. But yeah, I think with social media, like I decided like I never want to see a comment section again. I just don't want it. Like and so um the other thing is that I think people feel like, oh, I can't quit social media because then you feel like you're not taking on the world. And the thing with like Instagram, and honestly I still do go on LinkedIn, but I'm more just using that in a career way to contact people and kind of grow my career network so that I'm actually went back to school, but like so hopefully when I graduate, it's easier to find a job and I can maybe contact people. So for that, it is helpful. And but I'm not going to read the posts of LinkedIn. I'm not going to read anything they post. I'm just using it for that very direct human to human contact. So I think if you do the same with like Instagram, like you don't spend, you know, you don't go at all on the homepage of Instagram. You only use it to connect with individuals and maybe send them personal messages and stuff like that. I think in that way, social media can work. Like for Facebook as well. Like I think I still have Facebook Messenger on my phone because I have a few people that I'd like to just, maybe message from time to time. But I'm not going to read the wall of posts. Um, so basically, like, it's a very human thing that I want to do of like, if I want to talk to you, I am going to talk to you human to human, like one on one. I'm not going to put up a post. I'm not going to read a post. I'm not going to, because I think like that's kind of where part of the isolation is coming from. Like, I've heard a lot of like Gen Z is really isolated. And I think that part of that is that, you're always like just there's a disconnect between you and people. Like you go on Instagram and you see someone's post, and it's like it wasn't meant for you. It was meant for everybody. So you're not important to it. You go on Facebook. It's not a comment to you. It's just a comment to the ether. On Reddit, it's just a post. Like back when I was on Reddit, like right before I quit, like a week before, I posted this thing in a millennial subreddit about like being nostalgic for the early 2000s of like the GameCube, PS2, era of like Shrek and like Nickelback and stuff like that. And then I got all these comments. I got like 300 comments, and nobody was talking to each other. Like no comment, there was no like back and forth, and it wasn't like a mingling, like a networking thing, or like going to a bar and or like an event and meeting people. It was this like just everybody posting their reply to me. It's like, and I didn't have time to reply to 300 people, and I didn't have the will to reply to 300 people. It's just a very, unnatural kind of thing. It's more like, walking in a lineup and shaking people's hands, rather than like a real organic conversation. So that's what I want. That's what I want in the future. That's what I want for my life is real organic conversations. And like YouTube, I think I've been really enjoying YouTube and just watching a lot of videos lately because I'm not spending my time on social media. So I've seen a lot of enlightening perspectives, and so for that I'm going to continue on. And I think TikTok is too, um, the attention span is too small. I think you need something with a little bit more of a slow burn. Um, but yeah, I guess I would say in closing, like, maybe quitting social media isn't for everybody, but for me anyway, I just feel like all of this negativity and all of this hatred and just like mockery and unhappiness it just evaporated and it's gone. So I can just sort of enjoy my day now and like live my life, without having to constantly fixate on the worst possible parts of the world, and not doing anything about it. Because you can focus on the bad parts of the world and do something about it, but like, it's just beating yourself up when you just are constantly intaking the bad parts without any resolution. So I hope this helped some people, and I hope that others can agree that, social media, I think it's got a lot of negatives to it. I think it does have a lot of bad parts to it. So I'm glad to be off of it, and I'm going to continue staying off of it. So, all right. Thank you very much. Bye.